Today, I'm gonna be doing something I've never done before. I'm gonna be combining this with this to make smoked salt. Yep, smoked salt. I've read about this for a long time. I mean, the idea behind it is that if you can't smoke something, a piece of meat or a burger or something like that, but you want that smoked flavor, you add some smoked salt to it and you bring the smoked flavor. Whether it's hickory, mesquite, apple, cherry, pecan, whatever you want. I'm using hickory wood today and I'm using my electric smoker. I filled the wood chip box up to about 2/3 full with hickory chips because I want to get a good amount of smoke over a long period of time. Now I set the smoker for initially 210 degrees. That's just to get it up to temp, get the smoke rolling. After that, I'm going to lower it down to about 160, 170, try and keep it in that range. Now, from what I've read online and videos I've watched, it should take anywhere from 4 to 10 hours. The longer you leave it in, the more smoke flavor you're going to get. The more that, pure white salt with those crystals are going to turn a darker color as they absorb more of the smoke on the surface. So as I said, I've never done this before. This is an experiment for me and you to watch. I think it should work. Everything I've watched and read about it, people have done this for a long time. I'm taking a few different tips and methods from different videos and blog posts I've read on how to do this and combining it to see if I can get it to work the way I want. One of the components I read about, which seems to be important in this, is moisture. There are people who do this with no moisture added whatsoever. But I've added about half a bottle of water to my little water container in the electric smoker, and I'm also going to be spraying the salt just before putting it in because smoke likes moisture. And I saw some videos and read some posts where people did this and they had good results. So that's what I'm going to be trying today. So let's get the salt ready and get it in. So what I'm using today to hold the salt as we put it in the smoker is just this sort of spatter screen. I've cut the handles off of it so it'll work just for this, and the smoke can come up from the bottom, circulate around. This is what a lot of people use that I've seen online, so I decided to go with this. So I'm just going to pour enough salt on here that I can spread it over the entire surface. You want to get a thin layer from what I understand. It's not going to be single grain deep, but thin enough. A little bit more. I'll try and get it right to the edges so I can get as much volume of salt on here as I can. It'll be deeper in some areas than others, but that's all right. It's the first time. And now I'm just going to spritz this with a little bit of water. I'm not trying to soak it, just want to moisten it. That's good. All right, let's get it in the smoker. So what I have set here is my temperature probe on the upper shelf. This shelf we're not using. It's this shelf that I'm going to be adding the salt to. Just going to slide that in. I can just see wisps of smoke starting to come out of the wood chip box. I want to get this closed up so we can get smoking. So I'm going to lower my temp now down to 170. And we're just going to let that go. That's it apparently. Now we just got to wait, let the smoke do its magic. I'll bring you back when we got some good smoke rolling, and I think I'm going to check it at about the 4-hour mark to see what sort of color we're developing. Okay, it's been about 3.5 hours, short of the 4 hours I said we'd come back and look. But the smoke is starting to dwindle, so I think I'm going to have to add a little bit more wood. And I also remembered something. I said this was the first time I'd done this. It actually isn't. I did attempt once to smoke some salt, but it was on the smoker when I was cooking something else, and then I just put a bunch of salt in a pan to try it there. Didn't follow any directions. Didn't really have any good results, so that was a complete failure. I'm hoping for better results this time. Well, let's take a look and see what we've got so far. So let's see what we've got in here. Okay, it's hard to tell if there's any color on there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little fresh salt just to see if we can compare white to what's there. Okay, so there is a little bit of color. Let me see if I can bring you in here to get a closer look. Right there is the fresh salt that I just poured in there. So you can see there is a difference in color. It's slight right now. Want to get much more color, much more of that hickory smoke flavor in there. So right now I've got to add some more wood chips. Now, adding wood chips in the middle of a smoking session into that chip box is not recommended. I've done it many times before. You have to be extremely careful. You have to have good gloves because that box is hot. You also have to be able to discard of the charred wood chips in there safely. I have a metal ash bucket that I use for my smoker. That's where I'll be putting them. But again, this is not recommended. If you're not 100% comfortable doing this, don't do it. Gonna take this out and set it down on the ground. Have to carefully take this lid off. It's very hot, as you can see. Now I'm not gonna pour all of the wood chips out. I wanna keep some of those that are smoldering in there, but I wanna get the majority of them out so I can add some fresh hickory chips. Leave about that much in there. And then just put the lid of my ash bucket on. Just gonna pour some fresh hickory chips in here. Be careful, do not let the plastic of the bag touch this. It will melt almost instantly. That's a good amount to start. Get the cover back on. Let's get it back in. Close it up. I also cranked my temperature up a little bit to 225 because I want to get a larger volume of smoke now that we've started getting that color. Again, this is my method. I'm testing this. If this batch comes out horrible, I'll let you know. But I think it'll work. I mean, based upon what I've seen other people do, I think this will work. It's just going to take time. So we're, like I said, 3.5 hours. I'm not going to check it again until 6. So I'll see you after 6 hours. Okay, it's been about 6 hours. We're going to take a look at it now. One thing I wanted to point out that I didn't mention before is that this is the hot smoking method of making smoked salt. There's also a cold smoking method where you're really not using heat. You're using sort of a smoke tube with sort of the dust in it that you just ignite inside the smoker. So you're just creating smoke with no heat. I decided I wanted to try it this way first. I can always do that at another time, but let's take a look and see how we're doing at 6 hours. All right, let's see here. Let's pull this out just a little bit. Again, it's really hard to see here how much color it has. When I poured the salt there last time, that was a good indicator. I don't have that salt with me right now. The real test here is going to be the taste. And I'm going to let it go another hour or 2 hours. Try and get just a little bit more of the smoke in there. And then see if I can pick up a hot crystal to see a taste. Okay, that's salt. But there's also some other flavor there. Oh yeah, there is a smoky flavor to that. Okay, let this go another hour or 2. That was really interesting tasting that. I didn't expect to have that much smoky flavor without that color on it. But there's definitely, I mean, obviously salt, but there's that smoky hint right on top. I'm guessing with more time, just like, you know, all the things I've watched and read say, the longer you leave it in, the more smoky flavor you're going to get. So if I'm at 6 hours now, I let it go another hour or 2, 7 or 8 hours. Let's see. Let's just see how much we actually get. Because in this method with the hot smoking, might have to go longer if you really want a lot. I read one thing online where someone smoked it for 24 hours, and that was with a cold smoke. Someone else did a 15-hour hot smoke and got some really nice brown color on there. I don't know that I'm going to let it go 15 hours. I'm going to cut it off about 7 or 8 because I want to be able to test it on a burger and see how it actually tastes. I'll bring you back when we're ready to check it and probably pull it off. Okay, it's been 8 hours and I'm calling it at this point for this experiment. I know that if I left it in there longer, it would get more color, but I want to see what kind of flavor it will have at this point. So I'm going to get it out of there and it's got to cool for a while. Then we're going to put it on a burger and grill it up and see what it tastes like. All right, I have got my burger patty here and I am going to add some of this fresh smoked salt, hickory smoked salt, and give it a good coating. You can see it's nice and chunky. A nice amount on there. Got no other seasoning on this burger at all. Let's get the other side. All right, let's go get this on the grill. Got a nice hot grill here. Let's get our burger with the hickory smoked salt on. Ooh, it smells good. I know I'm not smelling any hickory, but just a burger on the grill smells wonderful. Love that sound of sizzling burgers. Hate the sound of traffic. The sound of sizzling burgers makes up for it. Ooh, that smells wonderful. I'm really curious to see if there's hickory flavor from that salt on the meat. I put quite a bit of salt. I know there's hickory flavor in that salt because I tasted it. I'm just curious if it's going to transfer to the meat. There's our grilled burger with the hickory smoked salt. I'm just going to dress it with a couple slices of tomato. And now I'm going to dig in. Okay, so I purposely didn't put any other seasoning on here, no pepper, anything like that, just these tomato slices on top. I really want to see if we can taste that hickory smoked salt on the outside of the burger. I know it's not a burger tasting video, but these are always fun anyway. I love burgers. All right, here we go. Yeah. There's definite hickory flavor there. I'll show you the burger. You can't see anything from it, but there's hickory flavor. I think one of the reasons this works is because you have the large crystals of that sea salt, or if you're using kosher salt, you know, fine grained salt is not going to work as well, I don't think. Because when you put it on the outside of something, especially on the grill like this, you still have those crystals of salt even after you've grilled it. They're still there. They're hugging the meat. And when you bite into the meat, you get that hickory smoke flavor on the salt. Wow. Now, one of the things I read was that it's important to, you know, store it in an airtight container because it will lose some of that flavor over time. I didn't make a whole lot because I didn't want to store a bunch of it for a long time. I'll go through this in a few months. And as you can see, it's really hard to see here. It's not white anymore. It has sort of a little bit of a tawny color to it. I'd like to get that really rich sort of tan color that I've seen in some of the videos and pictures on blog posts that people got, because I think that would just look neat. I'm assuming you get even more flavor. I'm actually pleasantly surprised the amount of hickory flavor that transfers from the salt to the burger here. You know, I was prepared to only call this a semi-success because I really didn't get that deeper color on the salt, but the flavor's here. I'm calling it a success. I mean, personally, I want the color, but if you want hickory flavor, it worked. 8 hours in smoke worked. I think it would be interesting to try the cold smoking of the salt and see if there's any real difference. I don't understand the mechanics of why it would be different than the hot smoking. Some people swear by the cold smoking. It's similar to, like, you know, if you're cold smoking a cheese. I've never done that. I've read about it. I get that idea, you know, it's just the smoke. You're not using any heat. So I don't know, maybe I'll try that in the future, but I'm really pleased with this. And now I've got to decide if I'm going to smoke some more salt, what flavor I would want to use. You know, the choices are endless. Mesquite, pecan would be nice. Cherry or apple. I wonder if we could do a mixture. That would be really nice to do a mixture of woods, like a cherry and apple. I might try that next time. I also wonder if you could do this just on the Weber kettle using it as a smoker, or in your other smoker, as long as you maintain that temperature, you know, a little lower. Like I said, I bumped it up to 225 just to get a more volume of smoke out of that box rather than keep it at 170. So you could do it at a normal smoking temperature of 200 to 225. And I'm assuming you could get the same results in a smoker like that. You might even get better results because you're going to get more of a volume of smoke in an offset smoker or in the Weber kettle with, you know, chunks of wood. So if you're up for it and you are interested in smoked salt, give it a try. It's not hard and it works. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to check out some of the other videos on my channel and consider subscribing. And if you do, click that bell for notifications. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a great evening, and I'll see you again soon.